Jim Bob Cooter, offensive coordinator of the Colts, he's got one job this season, and it's figure out how to put Anthony Richardson in a position to succeed. But you know what? There are secondary jobs, tertiary jobs, and one of those is Josh Downs. What's he see from Josh Downs? What's he see from the offensive line, the development of this offense, and how's he see it kind of now as he looks toward what's going to go on 5 months from now?
Yeah, good first impression. Came in, worked really hard, bright-eyed, energetic, really into learning kind of the information we were putting in front of him. Thought he had a good start, good rookie minicamp, and like I said, really excited to get going with him a little bit more when those guys can come back a little bit later and get into the real stuff.
Maybe he's too young to know this, but you know how it is when you come in as a high-pick quarterback, you know what the expectations are and the pressure. Doesn't seem fazed by it though. Just what is it about his demeanor that helps him kind of process all that?
Yeah, really unique young man. I think he's got a really good head on his shoulders. Kind of, I think, sees and understands what's going on around him at a pretty high level. I've been really impressed with him, just dealing with him in meeting rooms, in different situations that we all encounter each other in. So, just has had a good way about him handling this stuff. And playing quarterback in the NFL, you're usually going to have your ups and your downs. You're usually going to have some criticism and some praise, and I think that's a really good trait to walk in the door with, the ability to handle what's coming at you and have a good mindset about it. And I think Anthony's done a nice job of that so far, at least in my eyes.
Jim Bob, when you watched his film in Florida and then when you guys worked him out in Gainesville, similarities, differences, I guess what stood out on tape, and then what did you see in person?
It's been said a lot of times. Obviously, really talented young man, really talented player. How he throws the ball, how he moves, how he, sort of orchestrates his offense, moves around within the game, gets the ball to different areas of the field. Those are things we saw on tape. But to be able to spend time with him in Gainesville and sort of dive deeper into the process, do another workout, do another set of those things, just really confirmed a lot of those things, at least for myself personally. The talent level is really evident, and the more time I spend around Anthony, the more I'm impressed with the person. I'm excited to spend more time with him. We'll be spending quite a bit of time, in those meeting rooms on that field, getting to get going on this offense, and excited to work with him, and excited to see more of that around here.
What have you seen from Bernhard Raimann as you've watched his tape? And he had struggles early last year, and then seemed to come on a little bit.
Yeah, I think the trajectory is heading the right direction with him. As a young player in this league, struggles as a rookie, they're not uncommon, right? Those things do happen. He's got some talent. He's got a great mentality around the building. He's really into, whether it's our meetings offensively or Coach Sperano's meetings, sort of offensive line wise. He's asking the right questions. He's working to get better. A lot of times in this league, I think going from year one to year two can be one of the biggest steps you'll have in your career. He's putting together a nice offseason of starting that off. It's only phase two. We're kind of right in the middle of that on-air type of part of the year. But he's doing a nice job. I'm excited about sort of seeing what kind of player he becomes. I think that story's not fully written right now. That story's kind of being written. He's putting the work in. He's doing the right things. Like I said, the arrow's moving the right direction. We're excited about working with him, and where he ends up, we don't know. But hopefully keeps this thing going the right way.
What do you think Josh Downs could bring to this offense? Being as sure-handed as he is, as confident as he is, maybe just being a different type of body style, play style than the other receivers have.
Yeah, I think Josh has put a lot of production on tape at a high level. He's worked more from the slot than he has outside. I do think he has the ability to sort of play in or out and have success. But the types of things he's going to bring, you talked about a sure-handed receiver, a guy that can get open versus tight man coverage. We're always looking in this league for, I kind of call them mismatch players or matchup players. Can I get, if it's one-on-one, can you get open? Can you win that matchup? We think Josh is going to have the opportunity to do that a little bit. We're going to try to get him in here, work with him, kind of see exactly what he does best. We have some good, obviously, film of him at North Carolina, but get a chance to work him on a lot of different routes and see what we think he can really help us with this year. And I think he's going to be really productive part of our offense, and I think the role that he carves out for himself will kind of define itself over this offseason, over training camp. You know, you mentioned at one point in there just being a little bit of a different body type. I do think there's some value in that, just with how you attack a defense, especially within matchups, within looking for mismatches. Guys that can do different things well, and a lot of times those guys do come from different body types.
Jim Bob, what's the value of like a reliable slot for a quarterback? I know he may play outside too, but when he's in that role, is there like particular value to the quarterback, that trustworthiness there?
I mean, I think there's trustworthiness at every receiver position, but I do think it's really important on the inside receiver positions. You're talking slot receiver, I would throw tight end right in there. Those guys that are kind of line up closest to the quarterback when the ball's snapped a lot of the time. Those guys being really reliable, being where they're supposed to be, being someone the quarterback can trust. You know, a lot of times those guys are primary options, but a lot of times there are secondary options. And if I'm a quarterback and maybe I am looking outside and the coverage just isn't quite right, to know where that sort of secondary option is as an inside underneath receiver is key. And to have reliability in that spot is something we're very interested in.
Jim Bob, when you've got a lot of times when a team has an offense, new offense, it has a quarterback to build around. He gets the reps and you build around him. This is a little different, isn't it? Where you've got two guys that you got to sort of, will you be dividing snaps with he and Minshew, or how will you handle that?
Yeah, I'm excited to sort of get the offense rolling. Like this time of the offseason, I've kind of talked about it a few times. We put the foundational stuff in, and now that we have been through the draft, now that we have a little bit better of an idea of what the roster looks like, now we can start to get the scheme sort of working around the players a little bit more. We're hard at work back in those offices trying to figure out the best way to do that, the best way to organize that, the best way to sort of lay that out for the future. I'm not gonna fully lay that out here, but excited to know who we got, and excited to go to work with them and try to put together the best offense we can for this team, for the organization, for the city.
So there might have to be a balance between the rookie needs reps, but you've got to get the other guy ready too.
I think there's a lot of things you have to manage every offseason as a coach. Managing every single position with reps and details and who takes reps where and with who. It's a part of our business. It really is in a deep manner. So it'll be that's just a part of our offseason.
We have a young quarterback like Anthony and experience. Are there things in practice you try to do to script more kind of game-like settings for him when you know it's so critical that he tries to get in those atmospheres? I get the jersey can only be red. But
I think there are things we can do structurally within practice to encourage learning for young players at different positions. Quarterback being a major one of those. Sometimes it's just seeing a look a couple different times. Hey, sometimes we do some walk-through things. We walk through at a nice slow tempo, and maybe we block a run a certain way, or we block a protection a certain way, just to kind of go, hey, do that one more time. Hey, do that one more time. Now this guy moved here, right? What changes, right? And we make our adjustment offensively, and I think whether it's a quarterback or a left guard or an X receiver, sometimes that change on defense means something to me, and I can learn something from that. There are situations where we can do that, and maybe it makes a little more sense to do that a little more often with younger players than it does the veteran players that have been around a long time.
Do you like those?
It's like a competition.
It's tough in here. It is.
You get a seat.
I think around here, people want to know is Anthony going to play as a rookie, and people want to see him. And I get the impression when you mentioned the last couple questions, was really not answered. Is it kind of going to dynamite question around here? You're doing it again.
Yeah, that's the right mode. I'm just gonna listen, I'm not getting into play time. I'm not getting into rep numbers or rep, who's repping what with who. That's just not going to be a part of what I answer. So.
Ultimately, particularly young players, you're a teacher, right? And it sounds like maybe there have been maybe some light bulb moments, with Anthony, maybe some of the other guys too. Do you enjoy those? And have you had any? I know you only had them a couple days, but like where they get a concept or they something clicks.
That's exactly right. What we ultimately do, and under our sort of job description, teacher might be number one, right? Mm-hmm. What we really do is, we teach information to the players. We teach guys. And anytime you teach somebody and you get a sense that they're learning, that's working, like they're getting it, that does have value. That's what we're in this thing for, to make the players better, to give them the best chance to win. And, this time of year we're teaching, they're learning. We get out on the field. Did we learn it? Did we not? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But you really like when you have a certain coaching point, and gosh, did they even get that? And you go out on the practice field and boy, they got it wired. Man, I think it, makes you feel like you had an impact as a coach that day. So.
Jim Bob Cooter seems like a good guy, and everybody on this staff is kind of singing from the same hymnal. And that hymnal is, how do we get the players we have to play as well as they possibly can and give us as much as they possibly can, make this offense hum a little bit? Interesting to hear his perspective on Josh Downs, obviously, as well as Anthony Richardson.